Welcome to the Good Morning Education Show. My name is Rotimeta, and it's such a pleasure to be here this morning. And let's just talk about what we are here for. So we're streaming from Lagos, Nigeria, to West Africa, to Africa, and the entire world. And this is an opportunity for you to share your thoughts, share your comments, share your contributions as we're on the show. Welcome our tribe members this morning. On the Good Morning Education Show, we have that statement that it's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show. Today is another day. Precise, today is Wednesday, the 6th of October, 2021. And for the teachers out there that had their celebrations yesterday, we'd like to ask that you share your thoughts, share your experiences, share your pictures. How did it go? And let's save all the experience together. So it's the Good Morning Education Show. We would like to welcome our tribe members, and we will be taking headlines first. And once we're done with the headline for the day, we move over to the conversation, the topic, the main conversation of the day. The Good Morning Education Show is always on Mondays all through to Fridays. And also on Saturday and Sunday, we have what we call the Weekend Special. The Weekend Special takes place on Saturday, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. And it also this weekend special also takes place on Sunday as well. Sunday, that's 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we always have a great time on the show. And today will not be an exception. We're going to be having conversations today, but then I'm going to guide you through the headline news. And one of the things that I know that we probably will be excited about is the federal government move on teachers. Yesterday, we had great news about that, but I will get to that today. Don't worry. But let's start with the first headline. And the first headline will be coming from Corona Secondary School. And it says Corona Secondary School graduates get $2.5 million international scholarship. This is coming from This Day Live. And I think that news deserves a bell of blessing. Having Corona, the graduates, getting this kind of amount, I think this is quite remarkable. This is super. So well done to Corona, and of course, congratulations to the recipients. And of course, I believe that this is something that will inspire many more, both from organizations who are, providing this grant and support, to individuals who would also, throw in the support as well. And of course, the students definitely, the recipients will get inspired, and the ones coming after them can also aspire for some things like this, if possible, better things as well. So we're going to have the next headline, and the next headline is talking about the federal government tackling out of school children crisis. That's what the minister says. Minister of Education is saying there's a lot of work that the federal government is doing and is engaged in to tackle all this menace. And we also move into another headline, and this particular headline is on Federal Poly Ilaro. Federal Poly Ilaro. It says that the Federal Poly Ilaro students get psychometric scholarship. And I like the news that we are really having today, because it seems like scholarship is in the air. Obviously, every student's dream is to be able to pursue education without feeling the burden of it. And I think that this is quite commendable. And also, uh, laudable as well. So well done to them. And then, of course, we have another headline, and it seems like we're really having a lot of conversations around schools and all those things now. So let's look at it. We have another headline coming from Green Springs now, and this headline says Green Springs students top SAT exam, America ends America's College Board's recognition, and that's the best. I really believe that it's high time we commend, schools, private schools, schools generally that are pushing the frontiers. They are pushing the edge. They are trying to make, um, you know, possible landmark impact. And of course, some people wonder why would sometimes people pay so much to experience education for their children. It's things like this that kind of justifies, or better still, validates those kind of claims or those kind of thoughts. So I think Green Springs consistently has been in the news, consistently has been in the news. And I think we need to appreciate their efforts. Well done to Green Springs. Congratulations to the students, congratulations to their parents, congratulations to the school community, the teachers, everyone, management, everyone. You know, these are things that make us happy as professionals, as educators on the Good Morning Education Show. We join the rest of the world to say congratulations. Thank you. Um, then we move to another headline. Educators make case for national robotics curriculum. National robotics curriculum. And this is coming on the heels, of course, just celebrated World Teachers Day yesterday, and it really is coming at the right time. People are looking at all the necessary things to look at when it comes to the issue of improving the knowledge and the teaching experience of students, and of course, there's nothing wrong in making case for new things. The national robotics curriculum obviously is something that I believe these people be, will ultimately see as value within the value chain, as it were. And I hope that also, as we push for things, we should also not look at the merit on the surface, but we should look at the merit through the application, right application, and of course, to drive the outcome within a record time. So let's not do things that are just good, but let's do things with the intent that we want to convert and make sure that the good turns back to us as good. All right, so let's welcome Dr. Adain Sola. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing?
You're looking like you've been counting too many dollars, so you're just like, man, come on,
It's
man.
tired. You're tired in the morning, so you just you need to put your hands here.
With all the pictures behind you, how can you be tired? All the energy in the room. Come on. Uh, you need to feel the vibes, feel the vibes.
Ah,
All right, thank you for joining. So we have one more headline, I think. Um, no, we have more than one. So the next headline talks about Nine Mobile, and they are actually, doing something that has to do with social responsibilities, a CSR. Nine Mobile counsels students on career choices. So let's hear from you. Dan, what do you think about this?
okay, so I always say given what I'm even trying to organize. So it's always a good thing when there are programs that organize things that has to do with direction or a path in which students could actually get some clarity as to what they are supposed to do with their life. So career counseling is definitely a welcome initiative. The question is always, however, about if you are counseling about career, um, most of the time, the kind of career counseling we see is the career for conventional careers, let's put it that way. The things that we are used to, the things that exist, lawyer and all this stuff. So, and I cannot really say that the people that have employment in this generation, as it is, the youth that have employment are even like maybe just I don't know the exact percentages, but I cannot even say maybe up to 10% of the people that are in employment are actually employed in those professional things. And I wouldn't blame them because most of the time, the kind of career counselors they bring are the people that are in professional, the conventional thing themselves. So you are only able to offer advice based on what you have experienced. Let's put it that way. You're only able to give guidance based on your own experiences. So and truth be told, if you are offering counseling to somebody in this generation, most likely the kind of maybe they are in the university or secondary, whatever level they are right now, the kind of jobs they'll be doing in maybe 4 years to come are not even kind of jobs that maybe those jobs don't even exist right now. Do you understand? So that is how maybe they will be like two centuries or two several decades behind. So my fear is whatever career counseling they are offering, if it had better be for the future job, let's put it that way, for the future job workforce, not for the industrial age. And that's just my fear because when we go to schools for PT and all these things, now you see they say, oh, they are doing career day and they are saying, oh, this is what a doctor does, this is what a doctor, and I'm just smiling like, if there are 100 of you in this room, most likely you cannot have maybe more than 2 doctors, 2 lawyers, to this thing. So what happens to the 90% that got no counseling on career? So it's a welcome initiative. However, I think we need to visit what the content of that counseling actually is. That's what we need to visit.
I agree with you. And also, it's also necessary and essential that we articulate to people when we speak about careers. I think I hear a lot of people talk about jobs, and they're not the same thing. And yes, there are many things about career that cannot totally say, you cannot totally say is unfolding just to the very the surface of things. But obviously, if we want to talk about emerging jobs, emerging careers, we should articulate them properly so that people can understand how to navigate the career, how to also identify the jobs. There are jobs, of course, that are existing because new careers are being birthed at the speed of light. Society and situations, challenges of society, changes in society are necessitating the emergence of jobs that probably were not even considered something that will give you gainful value or gainful employment before now. In fact, something are there are some things that if you say you can't comprehend it if it was 20 years ago. You can't say someone influencer is not a job. Okay? You couldn't talk about social media management. You couldn't talk about someone say copywriting, as in content writing. Those things were not the top four, the top five. In fact, I'm sure a lot of people did have this as a money spinner. It was more like a philanthropic or support. It was an added value to maybe a job you got. But now you're seeing some things becoming mainstream and some things in the mainstream becoming back end, you know. So I believe with time things would come up. But let's just take another headline. And this is from Rotary Club. Rotary Club enroll 22 inmates for WAEC, donate school uniforms. Wow, that's interesting. Then let's hear from you.
Wow, like will I say I'm impressed because um, most of the time we don't think about those people in the society. Let me put it that way. We our attention doesn't go there. Let's put it that way. Most of us just think about the other side. So, like, I'm really, really impressed that it's thoughtful, right? That it is just very thoughtful, because given the fact that there are some people that are end up as inmates, that's will I say, it's not even because they committed anything. It's just their situation that put them there, and they probably didn't even get a defense lawyer and all those things. So yeah, it's very thoughtful. And another thing that impresses me is the fact that for them to be registered for WAEC, it means some form of education is going on in there. So, which is another laudable thing. If education is going on in there and all that. So yeah, I'm really, really happy, because it means that they could integrate into the society with their education. At least I always say, even if we know that maybe your university education may not like be, lead you to gainful employment, but at least literacy is it's essential. And when I'm talking about literacy, I always say, oh, at least finish high school, finish secondary school, and have a certificate of why. What you do with it from there is totally on you. So I'm happy they thought about that. I'm really, really happy they thought about that. And whatever the number, even if it's just one person's life could change for good. So welcome, my dear.
I totally agree. In fact, I don't know. I don't know if you've ever visited the prisons before, but it was a defining moment for me. That was in 2000 and I think it was 2014, 2014 thereabout. Yeah, 2014 to probably 2015. Can't remember. And it was getting to the gates of the prison. I accompanied the client and some other people who just wanted to just do like a change project. They've been working with the prisons for some time, so they had created a competition at the prisons, and that day was the finals, right? So for me, it was quite interesting. I needed to see how that will happen in the prisons competition. And so when we got there, we had carried a lot of food items, blah blah blah, you know, and the inmates, some of the inmates were told to come and pick it out, and then got in there. I remember that I was given a tally, and then my client said to me that if I misplace this tally, that this tally is my freedom. So you can imagine how I gathered that tally like it was like my life. Like and it was just one small piece of paper. So imagine if they tell you that where's your tally? That's the proof of you coming out. You now say, probably you can't find it. I was just imagining my head. That's how you'll be holding prison back. But it was quite interesting. It was a defining moment for me, because when the doors were shut, even though I know I was not a prisoner, I was just coming in. There's this feeling like, so that's it. Then you begin to appreciate your freedom. And it was then I knew that in the prisons, they have vocational opportunity for vocational skills to be learned. And then, of course, these people write WAEC. It was then I knew, you know, I used to hear it, but there's something that when you witness, it's quite different from what you've heard. So I saw them give them prize, give them. It was like inter-house sports for older people. Do you get that kind of thing? I was so amazed. My eyes were teary a bit. And then when we left, I was just like, oh my God. And I saw the categorization, those awaiting trial. They call it, is it AR or something? They use acronyms for it. Awaiting trial. Then I saw the one of death row. Oh my God. I said, so it's like when you're saying you have so number of inmates, so they classify them in their category. One guy he got into prisons because he stole goats, one small goat, but then because he didn't have people to bail him on time, they just pushed him to the court and then sentenced him. And even then, he stayed longer than his crime. Some other people It was mistaken identity. They are waiting trial. They've been there, even if they had committed crime. They've been there waiting for trial longer. Do you understand? So, and some people, there's some legal people that got to help some people gain freedom because of their situation, but it's just a sorry state. And so I think that we need to appreciate Rotary Club for that. 22 is not a small number. So let's move to the next headline. Now that Lasso has a new VC, what next? Eh? this is your tough.
You know, the way the structure works, I always say like it doesn't really matter who is there. It's the structure that really matters at such institutions. So it means your goodwill may only be able to, in fact, I won't even say your goodwill, your politicking, let's put it that way, is may only be able to make a slight difference if the structure does not change. So when we say what next now that they've changed VC, I would say it's just same hole, same hole. Like it's not like the VC has a say in how the government runs the school and the structure or the curriculum that actually being taught or something. And for me, because I'm always more concerned about the content that is coming out of the university than the administration. I'm not concerned about administration. So if its change could affect something in terms of the content, that would be good, which is why I say it's politicking. For instance, as in there are some, I know, like at our university, for instance, because the current VC has some politicking with maybe say alumni, maybe someone like Dr. Akintoye, for instance. Now, one of the things I have noticed in the time since the time he came in is the fact that someone like Dr. Akintoye has been doing a lot for University of Lagos, putting up an entrepreneurship building, doing this and doing that. So that is why I say politicking. Number one, definitely has goodwill and he knows to politic with the people that may be able to provide the kind of change or the innovation he wishes. So those are the kind of things that even if I cannot affect the curriculum, because it's beyond my powers, at least I can use my goodwill to bring in sub like ops or initiatives or programs into the university that I can accommodate within my power based on external, like let's say individual stuff. So if he has goodwill and great politicking, he might be able to influence maybe on the side the kind of content that is being given to the student. That is what I think. So yeah, but yeah, he needs to have those two: goodwill first, then politicking. Yeah, people in his network must be very, very good.
Thank you so much. Very quickly, let's just get to here. Look at Ekiti governor advocates digital literacy, donates cash to teachers. Fantastic. That's very important. And then, of course, the news we've all been raving with since yesterday's announcement. Buhari approves 75,000 naira stipend per semester for students studying education. I want to go and write job.
I'm pleased. I'm PGD. I've actually been thinking about we should go and do PGD something. I'm sure that 75,000 will come to us, right?
I hope it doesn't become a how people do. What's that name again? Good. Okay, I hope people do not, because what happens is this:
They
we
will
don't
say they are
want
education of paper.
yes, people can actually pick up education to study, and then it becomes a meal ticket. So it almost looks like it's a job to
Yeah,
study.
yeah.
Because 75,000 per semester. Well, it's not that much though,
Are
but
you kidding me? Do you know what the minimum wage is? It
no
is.
semester is it's a semester is come on. A semester is about 3 months plus 4 months.
Yes, it's
So
like
it's
minimum
not
wage.
it's not per month though.
It's not per month, but considering what they are giving to core members, Like right now, like people are going to go back. Do you know, like I know when I was 7, they were trying to do
So
this. Some people
75K, that means in 2 semesters. So that person can actually have upkeep while in school. At
yeah,
least the burden is
yeah,
lesser. So
yes.
and then now this study anyway, there are lots of clauses to it. It's not if you have but the truth is we don't want people to now start having
Turning
that.
education.
You study education, and then after you leave, there should be a bond or something. Although it's
Yeah.
difficult to do that. After you leave, you now go to start selling puff puff and smoothie and makeup. So at least you have a degree to show you're educated.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope there should be another bait beyond this to make sure it
Yes.
has an equilibrium. What do you
Yeah.
think?
I think uh, it, I always say like it starts from the mind. If we can give education a facelift, people envy teachers in the abroad. Let's put it that way. Like teachers are one of the most respected and policed people, right? So if I always say like if you can give teachers a facelift, as in if you can make singular teachers whose lives are good, I always say like you don't have to tell people to do things. They people act more on actions. They see someone and they want to be like someone. I always say like one of the reasons I became an educator, or I chose to be an educator, is because I had an encounter with a professor in year 3 that I wanted to be like. There is no amount of counseling somebody would have given to me. I would say, me, teacher, for what? I said, do you understand? But just one person was able to influence me without even telling me anything. So I think that should be more of their focus, how they can give teaching profession a facelift. And it is not monetary, if you ask me. As in, it is beyond this money. Because if it is just about the money, it's going to be like, oh, people who are concerned about the money. And you and I both know that education, being an educator can if money is what brought you into education, you would be angry. So that's just the truth. That's what I think.
Thank you so much. And while you're speaking, Olusola Olumide joined us. Good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Rotimi. Good morning, Deering. Great submission. Sorry, I'm just coming. I was a little bit stuck, but I was following from Facebook and I was becoming itchy, uneasy with the topics. As you spoke about last week, if you let me jump into this thing, then this issue of 75,000 or whatever. Well, for me, I think it was like TT was with the president yesterday. If you remember some of our submission yesterday morning. However, my take will be a sort of reorientation or reimaging of the faculty of education. Why I'm not against giving the money per semester, let there be a sort of love for the course. Like you have said, some will see it as a sort of meal ticket, and when they are done, they go their way. Can we?
And you can't hold anybody.
You can't hold. How many people will you even hold? Let's in a way let them see the need to go. Like I did say it on here now. I needed to. Some of the student union schools came to my office. We needed to talk another, and I told the president, "You go back and tell them I want to have a kind of roundtable with all the students in the Faculty of Education." I know some of them got there by circumstance. Even if it's one or two, one can speak to and they can see that, this guy is making sense. In fact, do you know that because some of them didn't really love the course they are doing, it even affects their output, sort of productivity. They just push somebody here. They are not even, they are not connecting psychologically. All that they are doing in class doesn't even bother them. And they wish they can change elsewhere or they fail. They don't even care. So if we can infuse life into these students as to the importance of studying the course they are studying, I think it will ginger them more. So why the money? Good. But let's help these students see the need to be in this space. Not that like some people woke up later, they now realize that, oh, there is money, they want to set up school. It is then they are moving from one place and say, please, I learned to study education. Can you give me your certificate? In order to do my registration, I say, sorry, one happened to a very close person to me. The person was like, give you my certificate. When I'm still trying to use the certificate to look for the job, I want me to dash you my certificate. But few years when they were in school together, if you tell people to come and study education, education care. It is like for the downtrodden, the down and out. Now, some of them, in a way, they've made money, their husband have made money, their parents made money, they now saw the need to set up a school. They now moving here and they are looking for people to study education to give them their certificate in order to do registration. It shouldn't be. And until we reorientate these students and open up their mind to see the need to be in this space, we'll keep giving money, we'll dash money, and at the end of 4 or 5 years, people will still migrate to whatever they feel they wanted to do in life. Thank you very much.
And you called out for Titi, and she answered just like the true nature.
Ooh.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Maybe we should appoint Titi as a special advisor to the president.
Over the prophetic mantle of education.
Yes, to the president.
Good morning, everyone.
Now you're laughing, Titi. You know that, Titi, you should follow the model and example of our dear president. So you should also tell us on this show the distribution of some alerts that you might want to do today.
Rotimi is too early. Let's be serious. Let's go straight into the. It's already 8:30. Let's go straight into the discussion for today.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll just have, let's just go to the conversations of today. So we will be talking about enough of brand worship. Enough of brand worship. Of course, brand worship is something that happens consciously and unconsciously. We have a lot of times where we tend to, place the optics above value. So many people believe that if it's not so big and popular a brand, then anybody that is doing anything with an unpopular brand is pretty much doing it at his own peril. So I think that visibility has eventually migrated to qualification and certification of some sort. So when you see an individual that is very popular, it's almost by default that you pass some value and quality to that individual. However, someone who seems not to be so popular, a lot of people will want to touch that person with a long pole. And the brand worship in the sector sometimes makes a lot of people lose the reality and lose focus, especially even when it comes to the organization. Take, for example, universities, take, for example, secondary schools, take, for example, primary schools. You begin to see that sometimes powerful names have emerged over time, but not necessarily that they are consistent with what they have. So that's really what we want to talk about today, that how do we get to a point where we're not just looking at it from our own local reality, even look at it from general reality. You want to make uniforms, it has to be a particular brand. I'm wearing a particular. What is this thing about brand worship? I'm going to start with Darren, and then I'm going to come to Olusola. So Darren, tell us, what's your own concept or understanding of brand worship?
I say there was a time that we would say quality would speak for itself that way. Unfortunately, quality doesn't speak for itself anymore. Like, it's who makes the loudest noise. And I always say it's unfortunate, but that is the reality of things. You could be really, really good, be a school in the neighborhood, really good, like the content. But until somebody even sees you and goes to your place before they can perceive the quality. So right now, everybody already understands that it is who can shout the most about how great they are that is going to be like is the winner, which is one of the reasons sometimes as a that when you see me shouting about global opportunities, becoming a global citizen, there are some things I always say. I always say, look, I have seen many people who do not even have anything of value, content, but they just have packaging, or that is just the word. They have packaging, and that packaging is now being sold. And because you have value, you are not in the corridors. You are not putting yourself in the game. So they are awarding, and you are sitting down there lamenting about no, that guy is not good. I have seen his product. It's not even as good as ours, and blah blah blah. And they are awarding him. Hello, you didn't get into the game of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's for me, I think even if it is not a good thing that people are just worshiping brands because they say they are good, but it's the reality. So my advice would be like if you have something of quality and is of great product, please do everything you can to outshout them. Because if you don't, people will keep worshiping the name or the whatever it is they are putting forward, and you are just going to be there. So it's just the reality of the 21st century. I'm not even sure it's anything we can change. And we can't keep lamenting about it. So it's just for us to do what we can do to actually project the quality against the fluff that is on the surface.
Thank you so much. Because there's a definition that says that brand worship is considered a spiritual, experiential, and emotional state for fans who are extremely devoted to a cult brand and perceive it as sacred. You know, so some people say we have faith in Apple. Brand worship among Apple fans. So with this kind of definition, I want to come to Olusola Lumide. What would you say should be the disposition of people administering brands, people who handle brands? What should be their disposition, knowing fully well that it's like brand worship seems to be the order of the day? What should be their disposition?
Thank you very much. Looking at that topic, certain things went through my mind. We can't really eliminate brand worship. Even before you brought up that definition, I understand that emotional connection is key when it comes to brand worship. And you know that quality, our consumption is more perception than quality. And for those who have that understanding, why they upgrade quality to 50%, they consumerize the consumer to 100%. They must force it down your throat. Your perception has to be altered. And once your perception is altered, you are emotionally pliable. You key in spiritually. Of course, when we mean spiritually now, it doesn't, because your whole being, anywhere you see the logo, something shouts out from within you. Yes, that is my man, or that is my product. Unfortunately, it leads to emotional blindness. Whether the quality is dwindling or not, because you have been trapped at the beginning, you care less. So, as far as business concern is about profit, continue to do what they have always been doing. How do we trap our consumer? We do a lot of adverts. We show it in their faces almost day and night, that even in your dream, you are seeing them. And anytime, any day you think about anything, before you think one or two, you remember them. So for people handling brands, I will say, as much as you want to shout, don't sacrifice quality. And that also brings something to the fore, our connection with each other. We should celebrate one another, especially for those of us who are just coming up. I have a platform with Rotimi, and I know that, oh, Rotimi is gone ahead of me. He's accepted almost everywhere, and I'm working with him. He's my friend. We do this show together. Oh, it would be nice to say, oh, Rotimi, if there is opportunity, you know me, you know what I can offer. You can always speak my matter to the people over there. Oh, they're having a particular program. They say, okay, suggest. They say, okay, there is this guy I know, even though you guys don't know him, but we've been together and I know he can deliver on the job. Without you, I may not be able to get there because they don't even know me. And access may be almost impossible for me. So I can ride on your shoulder. And I think as we move around handling brands, let's drag one another along. Yes, you are ahead. Hold the hand of me coming behind you. That at least you have watched me for some time now. You say, okay, this guy, I think he has one or two things to offer. Let me pull him up. And as I'm being pulled up, I am getting that sort of awareness. I should also remember there's one or two people coming behind me whom I can vouch for. When it comes to, okay, education, early years, you know who to call on. When it comes to higher institution, you know who to call on. So one thing I want us to do is that those handling brand should not forget quality. Pinpoint those who have those quality, bring them on board, celebrate them, shout them, loud what they are doing, let people know and let people see. And that's why we can't rule out friendship. We can't rule out community, our tribe. It goes a long way. Listen to me. If not for the sheep butler, Joseph may rot in the prison with all he has. So we need one another. And we should also look at the quality of individual, say it to the public, and I think we can move on. That's what I want to say for now. Thank you.
And I know that Titi is ready to laugh and say some things following up with that. So Titi, I told you. Oh yeah, Titi, over to you.
Honestly, Mrs. Damian Olushola and Mr. Olushola have said what's really on my mind. I think it's important for us to realize that we are selling to people, first of all. And people buy for emotional reasons, never for rational. That's the first thing. Of the 100 people you will sell to, only 30% are truly discerning. 70% are not. They are surface. So when you say, oh, it's my quality that will speak to me, you're only talking to 30%. That is the truth. Most people are buying, because Lagbaja goes to that school and I want to be like her, so they will know that I've arrived too. Oh my goodness, I love the facilities of this school. Reminds me of London. Did you see their swimming pool? Have you heard of their extra? They do code. It's more all emotional reasons. And it's the person that, Mrs. Derry said it, the person that speaks the loudest. Because even this perception, you have to be depositing it in my perception. When you see the big schools always talking about every single competition they win, they don't talk about the ones they don't win. So in my mind, I'm like, my goodness, this school is made up of winners. They went to Spain and did the robotics, and they won't tell me about the ones that they didn't win. So in my mind, they just keep on building the perception that they are winners. And then I say my child wants to be an engineer. That is the school to go to. And let's not see that the schools abroad have done a fantastic job of these brands. The schools we call the Ivy League schools is branding. Do you understand? People will come out from, and then you see, people will come out from community universities. Those ones don't brand that they've done well. But the Ivy League school, every successful person that comes out of their school, they will put it on their head and take it to they will talk about the fact that the person was their school alumna. Then you never talk about the successful people. Do you think that they're not people that are not successful that came out of those schools? Of course they are. But did they go making the noise? No. So it's important for us to realize that people are driven by perception. Everybody's looking for something. Parents will tell you they're looking for a good school. It's a lie. What is their definition of good school? The definition of good school is that I want my child to be mixing with who and who is in society, and your school has that. So I'm going there. You know, if you go and sell something to someone and tell them the thing is 1,000 naira, they will naturally assume that the thing is not valuable. It's just perception. People perceive that thing, the more expensive it is, then the more valuable. If you go and say that the school is charging 50,000 naira per term, everybody's mind, all of us, even those of us here, will say, 50K. How much should they be paying their teachers? That means it's not a good school. So perception is what makes us buy, and it's important that school realize that. So you need to ask yourself, what is your investment in building the perception of the public? It is important. Don't be someone else that has made that investment, because they know and have come to understand that that is really what makes people buy. When it's time for me to look for the best person to come and speak to us, I will go and call Mr. Rotimi because he has built his brand. When I'm looking for someone to come and do on special needs, it's the people that have built the perception in my mind that I would call. So I think the first mistake that every educator is making and every school is making is not to build your brand. You are a teacher in that school. The reason why they'll keep bringing someone from outside ahead of you is because you haven't built your brand. You haven't told them all the things they are doing outside, so that when people outside value you, what do you think will happen in your own school? They will value you more. They will always be valuing the person that is making the loudest noise. And I think it's important that we realize that this is human nature. I'm not sure we can change it on this side of eternity. It's when we get over them. I'm telling you. So I think it's important to say, how do we maximize this thing? Because we're not telling you build up stories that are not true. We are saying make the noise of the content that you have. You might not have good facilities, and that's fine. But your teachers are fantastic. Begin to talk about them. You might not have, the biggest swimming pool, but when your children go to competitions, which you should take part in, they are outstanding. One of the things I said, was that when the girls won the, was it last year or 2 years ago, when they won something, I was very happy that the people that won the competition did not come from any school in Lagos or Abuja. And, they came from an average school, because in the end, just because you make the most noise doesn't mean you have the content. But if they never went for those competitions, we'll never know that there are hidden treasures there. So you are a hidden treasure, we know, but can you get other people to know that you're a hidden treasure? And that's where brand is. So for every educator that is listening out there, for every school owner, school leader, make investment in your brand. Get the good things about you and begin to shout it to the loud heavens wherever you can. Let people know. Announce all your achievements. Announce all your achievements, big or small. Don't look at it and say, hey, but it's just small. It's the first competition we won. Please go and say that. When we are looking for which school to send our children to secondary school, we go and look for what was their past results. And then I'm amazed at the way some people will be doing the B plus and B star. Meanwhile, some people have even more. Nobody's saying about it. Please go and take microphone. Go and take loudspeaker and blow to high heavens in your community where your target market is. Go and build your brand, that they too will come and worship your brand. Thank you.
And Titi drops the mic. So pretty much what Titi has helped us to see is the value, the value embedded, in actually having that to your advantage. And I'd like to ask them, could we say that, yes, understanding that the topic says enough of brand worship, could we say that, because I know that we have to address this from two sides, the service provider or the value provider or the organization, the one who is actually building a brand or has a brand, obviously, that person is on one divide and he has to do a lot to get that. But now let's do a little bit of devil's advocate. Now, on the other side of the divide, which is the end user, the client, the consumer, in some cases, the student, the parents. can we address the issue of brand worship and also, point a bit of direction and clarity, of all to these individuals?
So for me, I always say that even as a younger person, I'm one of those people that value depth more than the superficial. But I admit that there's diversity, even like maybe even in my home or something, in the way we think. So I would say, and I remember, as I know, just less aside the issue of iPhone and all those things, I'm one of those people that I would tell you that probably if you give me an iPhone, it's more going to be a status quo kind of thing than functionality because I'm a business person. I cannot wait for like the kind of people like, and when I started business then it's with the regular in the fashion industry. I say I'm the kind of people whose customer do not like that, right? So I can't make my life more difficult with a tool because a phone is actually a tool, right? So I would rather go for functionality over perception. But that is me as an individual. So for us to confirm, to be able to, on the part of the buyers, I would say that if you are going to look for something, and that is the way I think about it, I would say I look for the cheapest quality, right? So if I, yes, I look for the cheapest quality. That's how I buy. For instance, if I say, oh, I will need a shoe to last me for a while and everything like that, I won't go and buy something that I know that if I wear it 2 days, it's going to go off. So I will go and look for something that I know that on the long run is going to like pay me. Not because I want to buy a bag that I say it's an Hermes bag, it's a Fendi bag. I'm not concerned about the name. I'm more concerned about the quality. So I might end up buying a bag that is maybe 500,000, and you also buy a bag that, but you were after the name. I was after the eventual stuff. So I think if we are able to correct that impression in the mind of people that maybe intention actually matters. If your intention is to go to an Ivy League school so that you can get a job, right? It's all the money you spend on it is it actually makes sense because that is your intention. Like I would say, sometimes I pay for courses not because I want the content. Maybe if I have better content somewhere else, but I realize that I need what is in maybe that community more than I. So it depends on the intent. I always say like, but most people buy for the sake of the name, and those people always end up not harnessing what they paid for. Because if you go to an Ivy League school, you pay for an Ivy League school, and you're not making your child network with the who and movers and shakers. They say, oh, mom, we want to go and anger. You say, no, we sit at your house. Then you've lost money. They could as well go to backyard and go and school because if it's about education. So we must realize in branding, if you are buying the brand, then take out everything, like flog it, milk it dry, so that you can actually collect your money from what you bought.
Thank you so much. I honestly believe that in this generation that we find ourselves, it seems like brands or branding is the new religion. So I would like to ask us now, how do we see the issue of that head mentality, robbing people of the best of leverage? Because in brand worship, there's this pull for us to do things alike and look alike and be alike. And of course, in real branding, it's actually contrasting that makes you, much more visible than just looking alike. So I'm asking Olushola this question. How can we, in this reality that we know, yes, brand is the new religion, how do we make sure that this uniqueness of either your value proposition, your distinctives, your comparative advantage and competitive advantages come into the mix?
Thank you. Why we cannot do away with brand worship, as you have said, it borders on emotion, our psyche, and of course, it has some spiritual element too. Then I also discovered that it's also a form of status symbol. Some of the consumer achieve their status goal, so they are satisfied. Which school is your child? Which school is he going? My child is going to, because you want to feel like if my MD child is sending his word to a particular school, and I'm also sending my this in there, I am part of the big guns.
Mhm.
So to some people, it's more or less of the badge they wear. And they say that everywhere. They believe when people hear that my children are going to a particular school, they will be looking at me with the eye of a big man. So that is satisfied. That appears to be the priority. Whether the child now lands or not, that is secondary. So coming back to your question, what I will say is that while you make the noise, also work on the quality. Let the consumer or your client enjoy both. Yes, labor hard to live up to the noise you are making. If at any time, any day, some people are around to do a sort of background check or want to really probe or vet your noise, they find out that after all, it's not just an empty noise. So I will say the aspect of the quality shouldn't be given up over the years in your succession plan. Of course, you cannot make noise of what you have not done. That will be counterproductive. So sustain that quality. Continue to make the noise, because if you are upgrading your quality of value and you are not making noise, it's also a minus. So while you continue to make the noise, also work to be sure that the quality is sustained over the years. So that is what I want to say to that question. Why we cannot erase brand worship? Please, please, and please continue to pay your dues, continue to work to satisfy your customer, continue to upgrade your quality, so that when your critics will stand up to floor you or a sort of pull down what you have built over the years, they will discover that you are firmly built on the solid rock. Thank you very much.
All right. So speaking of solid rock, I'd like TT to tell us, how can we turn our fans, how can we turn the public into a cult-like following, building them to raving cult-like followers?
I think I would say it's 3 steps. The first one is to know which public you want to turn. Because if you turn the public that is Mrs. Derry, you don't have any problem. She needs the best of the functional at a cost effective. So that's easy. But to be honest, there are very few of her. Let me just say that one here. Most people are really in the association category, where it's what the brand has been associated with. So it's the paparazzi. If you talk to a lot of parents, when you talk to them about why their child is doing one extracurricular activity or the other, a lot of it is the paparazzi of it. It's not really, it's not really the fact that they understand what the value that it's being given. So when you want to convert that public, you also need to understand what's important to the public. Right? You might just realize that the public that you are seeking, who are very much into the content, are not very much. But if that's your target, then that's fine. So focus on your target and what is their primary need, and then start to address that. Constantly communicate, and then constantly get them to experience you. And then once you've gotten them to experience you, ask them to help spread the word. And once you're doing a lot of things in terms of community, then they have more vested interest in terms of pushing out your brand. When you celebrate your wins, people just feel they're all part of it, and the fact that they helped spread the word makes them even feel more part of your successes. So celebrate your wins, communicate to them. But I would like to end with saying, in as much as we talk about pushing out a brand, like everyone has said, it's important that the value is there. It's important that the value is there. Because the paparazzi-ness can get washed away. In the end, what will remain is the pure treasure that you have. So don't go chase one without the other. I would say chase both. So build value, ensure that you're giving valuable education, ensure that you're creating the total child, not focused only on academics but on other things, ensure you're driving 21st century skills, ensure that you're imbibing technology, and ensure that you're also building a brand. And not only you, but also encourage all your stakeholders. So because they all add to your brand, encourage your teachers also to build the brand, because the more we see successful teachers, and we all know they're from a particular school, it also helps to build the brand of that school. So also encourage your teachers with their personal branding. Don't think that when they build their brand it makes them more poachable and then people will poach them and they will go away. Yes, that might happen if the other needs are not being met in your school. But remember that in the end, if a lot of people are coming from your school and people are poaching them, then your school also has a good reputation of being a good a good how will I say, a good building ground for good educators. So it's important that you build the value but also build the brand.
Thank you so much. And on this note, I'd like us to draw the curtains on the conversation. Thank you, Aurela Solutions, for joining. Thank you to Olatunde Adebayo. And let's just take his comment as the last comment for the day. So many schools and organizations have actually made much noise of their brand in the past, but when their customer clients realize that there is less in the value content that is being pushed, then they cease from patronage. Well, analysts have also mentioned
that is only the 30%, or the majority, the 70% will still stay. Those 30 discerning percent, those are those ones.
Thank
A
you so
lot of
much.
people, even when it comes to moving schools, the parents are lazy. You know, the process of trying to change school can also look for a new school, buy new uniform, new friends. So sometimes that's why people just stay in the school throughout the 7 years. That's the people that actually move. If it's not because of money, there are very few. If it's not because it's also a challenge to go look for the other school, start the process, see if they have school bus. You know, there are a lot of things that make
and you don't want to
barrier
jump
to
from
entry on the other place.
frying pan to fire.
Yes. So that's why people can complain from morning to night. But 70% of them will still stay in the school, even though their needs are not being met. Only 30%, if it's not money matters, school fees matters can be a different thing. But if it's not money matters, only 30% of them will move. There's some people I will see, they complain. Your child just graduated from the school. I'm telling you, only 70% So is that they say I checked, I didn't find another good one. I just say let them just stay there and manage.
Thank you so much. Okay. I'd like to thank Darren, thank Olushola, thank Titi, thank everyone for joining, and those who watched the replay, thank you so much. It's been an interesting conversation, and I'm sure we've learned one or two things. And it's not a guess. It's not a guesstimation thing. It's something that is being used across the world. So leverage on it and apply it to your business and brand. What you think will push it forward and keep it with the cutting edge. All right. So we have to go now, and I'm sure analysts are ready for our usual payoff. At the count of 3, we're going to do that this morning. 1, 2, 3.
It's always a great morning on the Good Morning Education Show.
Bye.
Have a great day, everyone. Bye.